Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Alison. In this video, we're going to do the Tudor Rose Granny. This is a pattern I designed. It uses 3 colors. I'm using a worsted weight here, a number 5 medium, number 5mm hook. You can use any other size or hooks if you like, or whatever yarns you have available. You don't really need the blue, but you really do need the white and the red, or cream and burgundy, or whatever it is, to make the Tudor Rose. The Tudor Rose is the combination of from the end of the War of the Roses, where the red rose of Lancaster and the white rose of York combined, and they combined it into this particular rose where it's white inside and the red on the outside. So it's known as the Tudor Rose pattern. It's a pattern that, it's funny enough, it's actually the logo that I use for my website, but I've just got the red rose for Lancashire. Anyway, so we're going to go through this pattern. I'm going to show you how to do it. And I would say that this is beginner to intermediate. There are some trickier stitches, but I do believe that anybody can create this lovely Tudor Rose Granny square. So let's get started. So to make your Tudor Rose Granny, you're going to need 3 different colors of yarn. I use the Loops and Threads Impeccable in, it's a medium weight yarn. I used it in white, red and blue, or the colors are actually called Arran, Claret and Smoke. You will need a 5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, and a needle to sew in the ends, because I like to sew them in as I go along. So with the white yarn, we're going to make a slip knot on your hook, and then for our central ring, you're actually going to chain 5. You could use a magic loop here, but I always prefer to chain 5 to make my loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you will join it with a slip stitch to form a ring. And we're going to work into this ring now. We're going to have 10 stitches in all, but your first stitch will be 3 chain, which will represent the first double crochet. And then you will crochet in 9 double crochets. So that's the first one. Second one, third one. I'm going over the tail as I go, so it wraps it in as well. And to do a double crochet, it's yarn over, hook in, pull through, then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. These are American stitches, what I'm using here. So after you've done your 3 chain as your first stitch, you're going to do 9 double crochets into the ring, and then we're going to join it with a slip stitch. Counting to make sure. You've got to have the right numbers to start with. Because there are 5 petals on the flower, you actually need the 10 stitches to start with. Joining there with a slip stitch. So now we're actually finished with the white, because the white is the central part of the Tudor Rose. So I'll just pull the yarn through there, and then we're going to cut it off. Now I'm a huge advocate of sewing in your ends as you go, because when you're working with motifs, even if they're just regular granny squares, I always like to sew in my ends as I go. And especially if you are using multiple colors, as we are, where there are 3 different colors, and I always like to sew the ends in as I go. Otherwise you end up at the end with this mountain of ends to sew, and it's quite daunting, and in a way it tends to put you off. So thread up your needle and just pull your yarn through. You can tighten up the central part there to make it nice and snug, and then just trim it off. That's your starting tail. And then the tail that we finished with, you just thread it up again, and we'll again thread it through to get rid of the tail. You don't want the tails hanging as you're crocheting along. I find it distracting anyway, and I just prefer to have it neat and tidy as I go. And just weaving the tail in and cutting it off. Okay, so there is your central, the white bit. Those are basically your white petals for the actual rose. Then we move on to the red. I have this is called Claret. It's quite a dark red. You can also use a lighter red, and I have on some of the other examples, but this particular one seems to work quite well with the blue because it's dusky. So you make a slip knot on your hook, And then we are going to start with one single crochet into the top of the stitch. So you're going to go straight in with a single crochet to join onto the white. There we have it. Now it's chain 3, 1, 2, 3. You're going to skip a stitch and make a single crochet into the second stitch. And repeat that again, chain 3, skip 1 and a single crochet into the next stitch. And chain 3, skip 1, single crochet into the next stitch. And then chain 3, 2, 3, and another single crochet into the second stitch from there, and then a final chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to slip stitch into the first stitch on the actual row. So we're joining that first row of red through there. So now what you have is you've got the white center and you've got 5 chain 3 loops where we're going to put the petals on. So then you slip stitch into the first loop just to move into position. Just free up a little bit more yarn there because the ball's getting tight. Then for the petal it's 1/2 double crochet, yarn over and pull through 3. Then you're going to do 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and then another 1/2 double crochet, yarn over, pull through 3. Then you do a slip stitch into the single crochet from the row below to make the valley between the 2 petals, just to keep it snug. Then we do the next petal, so it's 1/2 double crochet, 3 double crochets, and then another 1/2 double crochet at the end. And again a slip stitch into the single from the row below, and that makes your second petal. So you will continue on making 5 petals in this way. So it's 1/2 double crochet, 3 double crochets, 1/2 double crochet, and then a slip stitch into the valley. Some of them can be quite tight to actually get your hook in, but persevere and get it through there. Yeah, so there's 3 petals. Now we're moving on to the 4th petal. So again, it's 1/2 double crochet, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and then a 1/2 double crochet. And finally slip stitching into the single crochet from the row below. As I say, some of them are really quite tight. You just want to hook it in there and get that neat valley for your petal. That's your 4th petal, and then we do the 5th petal. Again, a 1/2 double crochet, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and then a 1/2 double crochet is the last one, and then finally slip stitching into that very first stitch in the valley. And again, at this point you're going to cut your red. We're going to just pull it through. Let's get that right. There we go. We're going to cut your red at this point and sew in the tails. So it's really looking quite cute already. You've got this super little 5-petaled rose with the white rose on the inside, the red rose on the outside, which is how the Tudor rose looks. Of course, if you wanted to do these all one color, you certainly could, but they stand out more when you've actually got the two different colors. I like to weave in low on the row. I don't want to weave my ends in across the top of the edge of the row I've just done, because I will be stitching into the top of that row. So I do prefer to tuck and to sew and weave these tails low down on the red, not into the white, but low down on the red, so they are not running across the top of the red stitches, because I will be stitching into them later on as we do the next row, as you'll see. So I'm putting my needle below, right down at the bottom of the red, but still weaving it through. And that's really all you need to do. You just pull it snugly and cut it off. So that's the first 3 rows done. We're now going to start with the blue and work on the next row as well. So with your blue, you're going to make a slip loop on the hook and go straight into one of the valleys with a half double crochet into a valley. Then you're going to chain 5 and do a double crochet into the back loop of the top central stitch in the petal. Chain through and then another double crochet. That will be your first corner. Coming up the side, we're going to chain 6, then you are going to do a single crochet into the top back loop of the central stitch of the next petal, chain 4, and do a triple crochet into the valley of the next petal. So that's 2 loops over, and then pull on through, and then 3 chain. That's your second corner, and then another triple crochet into that same valley stitch. Across the top of the motif now, we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and single crochet into the top back loop of the middle stitch of the petal. Chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, a triple crochet into the next valley, straight there, pull through, 3 chain for the third corner, and a triple crochet into the valley again. 1, 2, 3. Then chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, single crochet into the top back loop of the middle stitch of the next petal, and then chain 6 down the rest of the side, 4, 5, 6, a double crochet into the top back stitch of the middle stitch of the next petal, chain 3 for your fourth corner, and then double crochet again back into the back stitch of the top middle stitch of the final petal, then chain 5 along the base, 4, 5, and then slip stitch into the top of the half treble that you did to start the row. So that's your first row with the blue, and it's giving you the layout of the corners, because we're putting 5 points of a petal into 4-sided motif. But each of your chains round is actually 10. So now we're going to slip stitch into the first loop, so you've got your stitch in position. We're now going to chain 3 as the first stitch, and then 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. Ease up a little more yarn because it does get tangled sometimes in the ball. Then we're going to chain 1 to give us a gap, and then 3 double crochet into the corner, 1, 2 and 3. Your corner will be 3 chain, 1, 2, 3, and then 3 more double crochet into your same corner loop. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, and then I'm just working over that tail. 3 double crochet into the first gap. 1, 2, 3. Then we are going to chain 1 and 3 double crochets into the next gap. So even though those are different lengths, the one has got a 6 chain, the other's got a 4 chain, we're evening it up now by doing 3 double crochet into both loops to straighten up the square. Then we chain 1 and into the corner it's 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3, and 3 chain for the corner, and 3 double crochet into the same corner loop. Then chain 1, so we're coming across the top now. So 3 double crochet into the next loop. This will be your 5 chain loop from the row below. 1, 2, and 3, and then chain 1, 3 double crochet into the next loop. 1, 2, and 3. Then chain 1 and 3 double crochet into the corner gap. Still pulling some yarn there. So that's your second one, and then the third one. 3 chain for the corner, and 3 double crochet into the corner loop again. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, 3 double crochet into the next space. That's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, and then 3 double crochet into the next space. 1, 2, and 3. Coming to the last corner, so it's chain 1 and then 3 double crochet into the corner loop. 1, 2, and 3. 3 chain on the corner, and then 3 more double crochets into the corner loop. 2 and 3. So that's actually your last corner now. Chain 1 and then 3 double crochet into the last remaining loop on the base. 2 and 3. Then it's chain 1 and slip stitch into the top of the first stitch. Can be a little tight, just slip stitch in there, and then do that again. Slip stitch through, pull your yarn through and cut and pull it through. So again, you're going to thread your yarn through. I always do it immediately. It's just one of those things. I can't stand it when the tails are hanging. Do you? Do you like the tails at the end? No. It kind of takes away from it. So we're going to sew that through just to secure it so it's not going to come undone. Go a little bit further back and just weave it through your ends. And then cut the tail. Now this is a handy motif. It's basically a granny square, and even though it's quite loose there, if you did a 4-row granny with four clusters of 3 double crochets on the top and do plains, you could do plains diagonally interspersed within this granny square. I have done several in different colors. I was working on it quite a bit. I'm just showing you there the dimensions, and it's about 4.5 inches each side, which is working out to, what is it? I think it's 12. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's just on 11 or 12 centimeters. But basically, it's a wonderful pattern, and you can use it with different colors, even though the different reds there, the Tudor Rose will always have a white inside and a red outside. But if you perhaps did, this particular one has white and a bright red and then the green, and this one has a white and a red as well. But I do prefer the muted red. I think it's quite a good thing if you're going to use it in a blanket or make it into a bag or something like that. I actually did this. I've created a crochet bag just in plain cream cotton, and I used the exact same motif, and I just joined it into granny squares, and it ends up being a light casual summer tote. And it's the same pattern. It's the Tudor Rose Granny. So yeah, lots that you can do. So there you have it, how to make your Tudor Rose Granny Square. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do let me know in the comments below if you are going to be making this pattern and what you think about it. I'd love to hear from you. I do appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. I will see you next time.